What do you think is being under discussed right now that more people should be paying attention to?
If we take a look at what's happened in the other ad buying mediums, Meta ads, Google ads, and we look at the trajectory that those went on, it began with a few people like myself or, people like me. They knew how to buy podcast ads and they built agencies around it. And it was a very agency dominated space. It was a publisher dominated space and so on. Now, most brands are bringing everything in house because it's all data analytics. Why would I outsource my Facebook advertising to an agency? I can maybe outsource my creative development, but the ad buying itself can be done in house. It's all numbers, it's all data. If we go down the programmatic route too far, down the Trade Desk route too far, down the Spotify route too far, we will kill most of our industries like middlemen, which are the you and me of this world that have built our entire economy, our entire well being off of selling and buying host read endorsed ads or programmatic. Eventually Spotify is going to open up, or another platform is going to open up a much more simple way for a brand to easily go, oh, I know how to buy ads like this. It's just like Meta. You're going to see videos pop up on YouTube within the next 3 to 5 years of some ecom bro in his basement in rural Wisconsin saying, here's how I grew my e-commerce brand using podcast advertising on Spotify Ads Manager with $5 a day. That video is going to hit 500,000 views, and all of a sudden people are going to start flocking into that. They're going to start placing their own ads, and it will cut out you, me, Oxford, Veritone, Ad Results, and everybody else that's over indexed on trying to sell our ability to do that, because they can just hire people in-house to do that. Agencies will cease to exist in the future for programmatic buying, for streaming ad insertion buying in general. The only people that will remain, generalization, obviously, are people that do host-read partnerships, because you can't replace relationships. You cannot replace my relationship that I have with Steve-O's ad buyer to get a great deal with Steve-O, because we've worked with him for a decade now. I know that relationship. I have trust in that relationship. I have trust in that. And the brands hire us for our trust in those relationships. They don't need me to buy programmatic. They could log into Acast, do that themselves. It's not that complicated.
I think the truth lies somewhere in between. There's a stark contrast on both sides of that. And it is something I've thought a lot about. What you're talking about is kind of the race to the bottom. The more inventory that's available, the more opportunity for brands, the lower the CPM, the less money people can make, the less resources they'll have to put into their content. And I hope that like we get to avoid that. But there will be some version of that for sure. What do you think then is being over discussed right now in the podcast ad space? It sounds like YouTube is your answer to that.
YouTube and what is a podcast? Are
Yeah.
you telling me that 10 years into this industry or more that we don't know what a podcast is, that we have to have a key? Sorry, I love Dan and I love Oxford. I just, the concept of having to have a panel at a podcast conference or a conversation around what is a podcast drove me insane. We should know the answer to that.
Yes, we know the answer to that, and yet there's just a lot of new, because I think about this all the time. I'll ask you this question. If you see a 20-second Midas Touch clip on Instagram or TikTok or something, did you just watch their podcast?
Yep, I did a little bit of it for sure. Absolutely. Because again, we get here. Okay, here's the real key. We are so focused on the medium of podcasting that we are losing sight of the purpose in which it functions. It is a means of communication and influence. Podcasting has inherited the influence of things like radio and YouTube and all these other places that people used to go for content and used to go for information. It is the new thing. And is it going to be the new thing forever? Probably not. Might be another thing. We need to focus on who the influence is and where that is being driven and the monetization that can occur between those 2 points if we're going to be capitalistic about the place. We have to stop sparsing everything out and trying to slice and dice and put labels on everything, because that's degrading the actual exchange of information between the creator and the audience. I don't care if Jordy from Midas Touch is selling the product to his audience via Instagram or via his TikTok or via his whatever. I'm buying Jordy's influence at Midas Touch over his audience, specifically in the channel of podcasting, because that's where most of their influence is. But their influence might transition. It might be an article. It might be a newsletter. That's the way I buy. Maybe I'm different. I'm not a podcast ad buyer. I buy podcast ads, but I buy influence fundamentally, and I just know how to do it on podcasting.
If you'd like to hear the rest of this episode, please search Podcast Perspectives on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure to hit subscribe.